Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Hope everybody is well. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I hope, like here, if you've got any snow, it started to clear up a little bit. We randomly went from like sort of -2 degrees over the weekend and loads of snow to all of a sudden today it got very warm and it all disappeared in the space of a day. So, I hope you're all well. Let's have a look in the chat and see who we've got in. We've got Mark Wright was in nice and early. I think, Pumpkin Man was in earlier on as well. Marcus, I'm sure his name was up earlier, but it disappeared off the screen when it refreshed. We had Lord Maiden in as well. Ortega, hello in the rerun, my friend. We've got Blizzards as well. We've got 130 Alt. Good evening to you, or good afternoon, as I remember reading your comment. Blizzard saying he's done 45 Malifaux minis so far and still going strong. Nice work, fella. I'm proud of you. We've got Palmsky as well there, 6 in the head, saying hope you're all good in the hood. Scott Latham, nice to see you, mate. He's saying he's assembling a mysterious fate for Malifaux as well. A bit of Malifaux work going tonight. We've got Yoakum in as well. Good evening, Yoakum. How are you doing? We've got Busey in. Nice to see you. Says good evening, Hobby Heads. I like that name. Christian, a good evening to you, sir, as well. We've got Steve Evans in. It wouldn't be Dreadball without you coming in, Steve, would it? We've got ASDF in as well. Nice to see you. We've got a bit of a roll call from time zones there. We've got Steve Smolders in as well. Hello, Steve. We've got Spunky Taz in as well. Says, why are you buggers, evening peeps? Nice to see you, Taz. James Bray's in as well. Phil Campbell's in. We've got John Estel. Says he's just come out of a meeting. No hobby tonight, but he's interested in Dreadball. Got a couple of teams painted, but not played yet. So, yes, for those that haven't read the title, and I don't know why you wouldn't have done, but for those that haven't read the title, we are talking about Dreadball tonight. We're going to talk about sort of, if you've never played Dreadball before, I'm going to take you through the basics, tell you a little bit about the game, how it plays. I've done all my notes and my fancy screens and stuff, so I'll tell you about Dreadball as a game if you know nothing at all about it. And then after that, we'll do a very sort of quick look over and a review of the Magnetar Circuit, which is basically the Galactic Tour Magnetar Circuit, which is like an expansion book for Dreadball. It's completely optional, but I'll come on to why I think it's a good purchase soon. And don't forget, folks, as well, we've also got the live draw tonight for the 10,000 subscriber giveaway, which is a mega army for Kings of War, provided by Mantic Games. We'll be doing that draw live tonight as well, so stay tuned for that. We've got Tony Howland, says, hello, my sweet little pumpkins. Nice to see you, mate. Got Dave Mackay in. Mark Coxey said he's building TT combat scenery tonight. Tasty Brain Drains in as well. Says from the frozen tundra of South Louisiana. A frozen tundra? I would never imagine Louisiana to be cold. Bobby Clark's in. Nice to see you, mate. Marcus says he was frozen today. Where was that one? Oh, jumped away. That jumped off my screen quick. Oh, we're back. Tasty Brain Drain says he means he actually got snow today. Oh, I was just literally dried out today. Got Mark in, nice to see you. Spunky Taz, I'm new to both Dreadball and Dead Zone. I've got the Dead Zone Kickstarter to collect for my friend once we can get out again. So I'll be looking at the previous BlackJack Legacy vids to bring you up to speed. Nice one, fella. Gareth Lewis, hello to you. Hello, Frantic. Hello, Jeff Higdon. Mark said he's taking a break from a job. Don't blame you, mate. Put your feet up. We've got Tasty Brain Drain says someone was here actually days ago. Were they really? I didn't see those comments. Marcus says the sun just came out the first time I've seen it in 3 days. It was like that today. We've got some building work going on in the garden at the moment. Somebody's putting a fence up for me, and I kind of took them a cup of coffee out, and when I walked outside it was like, bloody hell, sunshine. It's the first time I've seen that. Scott Longworth, nice to see you, mate. We've got Palmsy saying, let know the difference between Dreadball Extreme, which I own, and Dreadball Normal, which I don't. I'll mention that, mate. Remind me on if I don't cover that. Lee Millward as well says after catching the reruns. See you in the rerun, mate. Hope Lives says howdy, folks, as well. We've got Luke in as well. Says he's threading his rigging for his French fleet. I saw the ones that you've been doing, mate. But he's listening to the chat and typing when I can. Nice one. Hello, Flying Mammal. Hello, Ruth. How are you doing? We've got Mitchell Stevens. Good evening. Luke says Dreadball is fabulous. Fact. 130 else. I don't know what Dreadball is, but I'm assuming it's sort of a mini sports game like Blood Bowl. Well, partially right, but not like Blood Bowl. And I'll explain at some point why it's not like Blood Bowl. First of all, because I like it. We've got Spider-Lord in. We've got Robzilla in as well. Hello to you two. Ed Hanley. We've also got Lee Russ. Good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Chris Warden's in. We've got Andrew Wazansky in as well. Says, I pour my hot cuppa and I'm settling it in for the show. Nice to see you, mate. So Andrew, who's in the chat, has more than a vested interest in this game. If you do pick up these rule books, you will see rules development, Andrew Wazansky. So there you go. He was one of the rules developers, and I think if I'm right, you're on the like the rules committee and stuff as well. Where else are we up to? 130 else in Canada, and he's saying he's got snow today. I imagine snow in Canada. I kind of get that one, to be fair. James says he's primed his castle and he's to be putting the airbrush to its first proper job. Nice one. Nice to see you, Bloggy, as well. Nice to see you in, mate. Ed's saying there, just reprints, but there's a Killzone book too. We'll touch on that later on as well, but once we go through, we've got lots to talk about tonight, but I will touch on the new Killzone or the new Kill Team stuff that's been kind of leaked today. So I'll come on to that at some point. Peter Nicholas is in. Simon Morton's in. We've got Paul Inman. Hello to you lot. John Francis is in, saying Dreadball is life. Big fan is John there. John says coffee is like tea, but it's not because I like it. Exactly. They're both hot drinks, but they're not the same. Rob Zilla saying Andrew taking all the credit. He did message me beforehand just to kind of just to prompt me, to be fair. Andrew said I had to murder 10 people to be seated on the Dreadball Rules Committee. Nice one. Right, we've got a good bunch in there to start with. Because we've got loads to talk about tonight, I think we might as well crack on. So, if I can make sure I press all the right buttons here, that would be a good start. And I've got all my notes tonight as well. So yes, fancy screens. I've gone the whole works tonight. I'm going to be talking for quite a bit for the next kind of like 15 minutes or so. If you've got any specific questions, anything that crops up while I'm talking, please type at BlackJack Legacy in the chat. It highlights it on my screen, and I'll get to see it because I'm going to be looking through my notes while I'm talking. I'm going to be flicking through screens, and I might miss particular comments and things. So if you want to get a specific question to me, at BlackJack Legacy when you type in your comments. Hello to Sam there as well, just sneaking in before I start. So, Dreadball, folks, for those that don't know, Dreadball is a futuristic sports game by Mantic Games, and it is set in the Warpath universe. So those familiar with Warpath and Warpath Firefight, if you're familiar with Dead Zone, these are the kind of the sci-fi element of Mantic's universes. Dreadball is a sci-fi sort of sports game set in that world. If you remember, if you're as old as I am, and you remember Speedball 2, or back on the Mega Drive and stuff like that, or on the Genesis, then you kind of get the idea about what this game is in feel and in theme, I think. So basically, each coach, there are 2 coaches in a game. You're one of them. Your opponent is the other one. You field a team. The team is six players on the field. You have some on the subs bench as well. And the game is played in a series of turns, and these turns are called rushes. And during each rush, each coach makes a number of actions, 5 actions generally, although you can get 3 actions, to try and score points and beat your opponent. And you essentially win the game by either getting a landslide victory, which is scoring 7 points. It's not as easy as it sounds, and I'll come on to that in a bit. Or by, at the end of 14 turns or 14 rushes, basically being the person who has the most points. So that's the general kind of background to the game. So let's start by sort of talking about what you need to play the game. So you will need, if you've never played before, I would recommend you start with the Dreadball 2nd Edition core box. And in this core box, it has everything that you need to start playing. There's a double-sided gaming board. The other side is for Dreadball Ultimate. Let's ignore that for tonight. I don't want to complicate things. But basically, you get a game board with the Dreadball pitch in it. You get the 2nd Edition Collector's Rule Book. You get the Quick Start Guide, which if you've never played before, I think is really good. It essentially talks you through a kind of like a couple of turns and then basically says, right now, finish the game with like a pre-set up board. I think it's really useful if you've never played before. It comes with 12 plastic Yindage players, which are called the ninth Moon Tree Sharks. It comes with a Yindage captain as well. It comes with 12 plastic Neobot players, which are the Draconis All-Stars. So these are the 2 teams that you get inside. As you can see there, you're getting like 13 models for each team. So for all, there's only 6 on the field at any time. You have subs on the subs bench as well. There's a plastic Neobot captain. There's a ref bot, so the game has a referee as well. There is a plastic rush tracker and trophy score tracker. We'll come on to that stuff in a bit. There's actually the actual balls that you need to play, like sort of like get thrown about the pitch. We've also got 54 Dreadball game cards. We've got team cards, stat cards. There's captain cards, there's plastic counters, not cardboard, there's actually plastic ones in there, and you also get 18 coloured dice. So if you've never played before, you and a friend, or during lockdowns, you and a family member want to play Dreadball, the core box is a great way to start. If you're going to be playing with somebody in the future who already has the core box, and you want to just get in the cheapest way to get in is just pick up a team that you like the look of. So, the basics of the game. So this, what you can see on the screen now, is a Dreadball pitch. And as you can see, it works on a hex grid. So along the top, I don't know how small it is on your particular screen, but along the top, just above the pitch, you will see a track which starts from 7 at one side, gets to 0 in the middle, and gets to 7 at the other side. And this is the score tracker. Now, unlike most sports games, where basically if you score 3 points, you go 3-0, and then your opponent scores 3 points, it goes 3-3. This works on a different mechanic. This works on like a tug-of-war mechanic. So if you score 3 points, the tracker moves along the track to your side to number 3, and then if your opponent scores 3 points, the tracker moves back to the 0 position. So it's constantly push-pull all along the time. So that's why it's more difficult than it sounds to score 7 points, because you have to have 7 clear points in order to get a landslide victory. And psychologically as well, it's quite interesting because you never feel like you're really out of the game, because you're not just trying to catch up your opponent, you're actually pulling them back from the victory, which I think is psychologically, it's quite clever actually how it works. If you're familiar with God Tier, this works in a similar manner, although Dreadball did it first, to be fair. So below the main pitch, you can see along the bottom there, it basically has a track which runs from 0 all the way to 14. And these are the rush counters, if you like. So basically, you'll see 1 is white, 1 is red, 1's white, 1's red, all the way along. So there's 14 turns in the game, but each coach, like each kind of like player, me and you, if you like, has 7 turns each. So I have a turn, you have a turn, until we've each had 7, which takes it to 14. You'll see in the middle of the pitch, you'll see in the top right and the bottom left corners, these are like the subs bench and the sin bin. These are areas where basically if a player gets injured and they get taken out for 2 turns, we'll talk about that stuff later, they basically get placed in the little slot that says 2, and then at the next sort of rush that you have, you move it down to 1 till eventually they kind of like recover and come back on as subs. You'll see right across the middle is the main playing area, and down the centre strip, this is basically the centre of the pitch. This is where the Dreadball is launched in from either the top or the bottom of the pitch at the start of the game, and every time there's been a strike, basically the ball comes straight back in from the side, and the game never resets. It's not like I've scored a goal, right, blow the whistle, everybody goes back to the starting lineup. Whenever a goal is scored or a strike is scored, basically the ball just kind of gets whipped back in from the side of the pitch, and you carry on from wherever you are. You'll also see those kind of the white hexes and the red hexes. These are the strike zones, and these are where you score. So the hex on the right hand side there is the strike hex. This is the hex you want to throw the ball into when you're wanting to score. The what's that, 2, 4, 5, 6, the 7 and the 7 hexes in the center. Good maths. These are the ones where you have to be standing to be able to throw the ball into the strike hex. If you can't throw them from any of the sort of surrounding hexes, it has to be from these red strike hexes. So the ones in the center there are where you can kind of throw from. Right on the far left hand side, you have what's called a bonus hex. You can throw from here as well. However, it is more difficult, and because it's more difficult, you get an extra point if you score from that hex. So it's more difficult because of the distance, basically. So what you'll do is that, basically, if I can go back to the pitch there, you'll see the two sort of strike hexes that are just to the left and right of that centre pitch. You will score 1 point from scoring for a normal hex. If you're on the bonus hex, you'll score 2 points. And the strike hexes that are right at the far left and the far right, you will score 3 points for scoring from one of them hexes, or you'll score 4 points if you're standing on the bonus hex. So you can see how the game can swing backwards and forwards very quickly. Your opponent can get 1 point. I thought something flashed behind me there. Your opponent can get 1 point, and then you can go up and basically score 4 points and drag it all the way back up the pitch. So it makes a big difference. Okay. That's that I've read. Next one. You need to know about the teams now. So these are some of the stats. So here we can see an example stat line for the Forge Fathers team. The Forge Fathers team, for those that don't know, are the Dwarves. And this particular team is called the Midgard Delvers. Now, players-wise on your team, there are 3 different types of player. You have a guard, you have a jack, and you have a striker. Now, guards are basically they're stronger and they're more heavily armoured. So as you can imagine, they're the ones that's going to be smashing into your opponent's players and knocking them flying. But they don't wear the special DREADBALL gloves which allow you to throw and catch the ball, so they can't throw and catch. Jacks are basically like a jack of all trades. They're pretty good. They're flexible. They're pretty good at most things, but not really a specialist at anything. And strikers are agile and skillful. But with that agility comes less armor, so they need to be protected basically. So they get bonuses for their agility tests. Just give me 1 second. There's a bulb just popped over here and it's very smelly. I want to turn it off. Excuse me. Ooh. That's my hobby bulb. Just popped there. Whew, it's a bit stinky. Excuse me about that one. Right, where are we up to there? Yes, you can also recruit captains to your team as well, and MVPs, or most valuable players, but they still have these particular types as well. Now, the stats themselves are actually pretty sort of self-explanatory. As you can see, if I can just make this a bit bigger on my screen, you can see move down the left-hand side. This is how many hexes that your player can move. You then have strength, agility, speed, skill, and armor. These relate to different tests that you do during a game, but the number there is basically the kind of excuse me, the number that you need to achieve or exceed to succeed in that test. Oh, that smells at the back of my throat. Next up is the cost. This is how much it costs you to hire one of those particular models to your team. And then you basically have below that how many starting DREADBALL cards and starting coaching dice you start the game with. So DREADBALL cards we'll come on to later. Coaching dice are essentially like an extra dice that you can add to a dice pool to try and improve your chances. Excuse me. Right. James said, I'm sure the chemicals in those bulbs are fine, mate. It blimmin' stinks. I knew I'd seen something flash out the corner of my eye. Right, where were we at there? Stats we've just done. Yes, so basically each coach gets 5 actions to take each turn, and you can use up to 2 actions on any one player. So it's not like you can just put all 5 actions onto one of your players and it can kind of Rambo up the pitch. You can only put a maximum of 2 actions onto each player. So we're talking about actions now. Actions, some of the main actions that you can take are run, sprint, stand up, slam, throw, and steal. And these are relatively self-explanatory. Run is a normal move. If you remember from the stats, basically I think, if we go back to the stats there, let's just, I think it was a striker, they can all move four hexes as it was. So basically that's what your move is. That's how many hexes you can move. Sprint basically means you can move double your normal run action. However, you have to do this in a straight line. And if you move if you rotate to another facing, that is classed as a move action as well. So basically it's really good for running really fast in straight lines, but because you're kind of sprinting, you have to slow down to basically turn, which takes away from your your move actions, if you like. Stand up is just getting back up if you've been slammed prone. Slam is kind of your main attack action. You can use this to move your opponents out of the way. You can even use this to to knock down your opponents and injure them, or potentially even take them out of the game completely. Throw is the way you're going to move the ball around the pitch. You can throw it to players and then make catch tests as well. And then steal is basically where you can literally get next to your opponent and steal the ball out of their hands. There's some extra actions and things in the game as well. I won't go into everything in full detail, but there's things like fouls which you can do. You can evade. So if you're in a hex next to an opponent and you want to move away, you can do evade moves. And you can do things like dash, which is kind of like pushing your luck a little bit. When you get to the end of your move action, you want to just kind of push it that extra hex or extra couple of hexes. But you don't need to know that stuff basically for what I'm just talking about tonight. And yeah, you can get some free actions for playing certain cards, which we'll come on to later, or if you double successes as well, which we'll come on to later. So if we go back to the stats there, in order to achieve things like slamming and throwing, you basically perform what are called skill tests. Now this is where you roll an amount of dice in order to match or to exceed the stat that's required. So as an example, you always start with a 3 dice pool. So these numbers that you see on the screen are never modified. Basically, if I use which one we're going to talk about here? I think we're going to talk about a striker throwing for a strike. So throwing is a skill test. It takes a lot of skill to be able to throw the ball. So the skill test here shows that is a 4+. It will always be a 4+, but the modifiers will either add or take away the number of dice you get to roll. So as I said, it's a skill test. You need a single 4+ to succeed. The strike hex is classed as a small target, so you lose 1 dice from that 3 dice pool, taking you down to 2. Now, because if you're standing on the bonus hex, so my TV just turned off there as well. If you're standing on the bonus hex as well, then because of the distance being further away, this makes it harder again. So basically, this takes your 2 dice pool down to a 1 dice pool now. So now you're only rolling 1 dice on a 4+ to succeed. Now this is the point where you can use things like coaching dice as well to try and help. It's also worth noting that rolling a 6 is an exploding 6. So this means that if you roll a 6 and 6 comes up, you basically roll an extra dice, and you can keep rolling dice as long as you keep rolling 6s. And it's important because you only need 1 success to achieve the strike. However, if you double the amount you need, so if you only need 1 and you get 2 successes, this is classed as doubling your success, and it will trigger something called a fan check. And we'll come on to fan checks in a little moment, because we're going to talk about cards now. So as I mentioned at the start, there's a deck of 54 cards in there, which is full of action cards and special cards. And basically, these are used to give you bonuses during the game. Here we can see an action card, which basically grants any player any free action. So if you've basically, if you've done a couple of actions with one of your players, but you're not quite where you want to be yet. So for example, you might have moved, you might have slammed, and then you want to throw the ball afterwards. You could play this card to do a 3rd action on a normal player. You've also got another card here, which is a special card, says worse for wear, and you can play this one to cause an opposing player to suffer -1 to their dice tests. So there's some cards will benefit you, and some cards will negatively impact your opponent as well. And at the beginning of each rush, you draw the number of cards indicated on your team stat. So for the dwarf team here, it would be 1 card. So there's no limit to how many cards you can hold in your hand. And you can also spend an action to draw a card. Now you might be thinking, well, why would I want to waste an action to draw a card? One reason would be if you're going to score if you're about to throw the ball and score a strike, hopefully score a strike. Once you score, it's the end of your rush. Now, if you've still got 2 or 3 action tokens you want to use and you don't want to waste them, you can always spend them to buy a card. Now, the reason you might want to buy cards is because obviously they give you different special abilities and things, but you can also spend a card to buy a coaching dice. So there's reasons why you might want to do those kind of things. Now, fan checks I mentioned before. If you do some spectacular things, like if you injure a player and take them out of the game, if you double a success when throwing a strike, if you score from a bonus hex, these are all things that send the crowd going wild. And this will cause a fan check. And essentially a fan check is you will pick up the top card from this deck, and you'll see in the bottom right hand corner there's a little red dot. And what you'll do is you'll take this card, you'll put it to one side in your sort of fan check area, and when you have enough of those little red dots to add up to 3, you can trade those 3 dots in, if you like, the cards. You can trade them in either for a coaching dice or a card to be put into your hand as well. So this is another way where you can get extra coaching dice to help you out. It's another way where you can get extra cards into your hand, which have some great abilities like giving you extra actions. Now, it might be that when you first play this for the first time, you might decide to not play with the cards. I certainly didn't for my first couple of games. But I would suggest that once you get your head around the rules, definitely please do include them. And that essentially is the basics. Let me go back to this one. That essentially is the basics to how you will kind of sort of play, how you'll play Dreadball. The only things I've maybe not mentioned is there is a referee in the game, and the referee can kind of keep an eye on things. He's watching out for fouls and stuff like that. And it's a brilliant game for both competitive play, if you're into that kind of stuff. There were some great tournaments sort of for this game before COVID hit. And it's also great if you're in a bit of a league with local players as well. So when we get back to being able to play games, this is a great game for that. And as I mentioned before, a team has roughly about 12 or 13 players in it, something like that. So you're not painting up a lot of models. It's a perfect little kind of hobby project to paint up a nice little small team and just get it to the table quickly. So, excuse me. I'm going to dive back into the chat, have a little look, because there was lots of questions. Lots went on there. That bull pop, which I thought was on fire when I could smell it. My TV switched off because I hadn't touched any buttons for too long. So I had a bit of distraction while I was doing that. So I'm going to dive back and just see some of these. Right. I'm not going to read everything, but I'm going to pick out some of the big ones, the ones that kind of tagged me. Tony Booth Leiden says Speedball 2 was the reason I got an Amiga. Yeah, I played it on Sega Genesis or Mega Drive as it was here in the UK. But yeah, I've got a lot of happy memories about that game with Brutal Deluxe and stuff. 130 Alt says, you say it comes with special collector's rulebook, anything different from the regular, or is it just a case of a different cover? I'm not entirely sure, if I'm honest, mate. The copy I've got is just the standard one, I think. So I've not read the collector's one to compare it against. I believe it's hardback, but I couldn't be certain. What I forgot to mention was if you want to read the rules or all of the stats for the teams, they're free on Mantic's website. I've got the rule book here in front of me in case I forgot anything, and it kind of popped up. Let me just I can just very quickly. So here it is on my iPad. It's oops, it would help if I'm not holding the screen as well. It's the full rule book. Everything's in there. So yeah, everything's there if you need it. It's absolutely free. Go to the Mantic website. In fact, if I can, I might be able to show you. Yeah, I think I can actually. Let me go to this page. Right, man. So if you go to resources, if you go to the Mantic website, let's just click Mantic there. So you go to the Mantic website. If you go to resources and free rules, you can click here, and here are all of Mantic's free rules. If you scroll down, you will find Dreadball, and there is basically the captain cards, the team rosters, the FAQ, the core rules, and the team stats digitally. As you can see there, they're all free as well. So if you just want to have a look over the rules, try and get your head around it after what I've said, and you maybe want to listen to it back while reading the rules, get yourself over to the Mantic website and download these as well. So, let's have a look. Any other comments here? Oh, I think there's some extra people saying some things here. There's more stuff in the rule book as well. So I think that question might have been answered now. Thank you, Andrew. A bit further on, Christian saying grab your Black Legacy merch if you want to get yourself a nice t-shirt like this one as well. So these are the dice with the little BlackJack Legacy logo in the centre there as well that can be picked up. Luke says the gremlins are in the wiring for Andy tonight. Yeah, they definitely seem to be, mate. I thought I saw a flash out the corner of my eye, and then I just got this really like smell of like, something's on fire. What the hell's that smell? And then I looked over and I thought, that's that bulb gone out. I didn't want to leave it switched on just in case. Tony says, I'm a soft old boy. I get quite emotional about Andy's success. I must have missed something there. Oh God, I don't know what it was. I must have missed all that stuff. But thank you for any kind comments. Christian sharing the link there to Discord as well, to Patreon as well. Thank you very much. WTF Pantera says the collector's rulebook contains league rules. Also, it's not included in the core box. It says on the Mantic website that it is, so maybe they've changed that. So either the Mantic website is wrong, or it's been changed since. Let me just prove, because this is where I got the list of stuff from. So if I go back to this screen, if you go to DREADBALL and you go to so getting started, and you go to the core game edition, it does say here second edition collector's edition rulebook. You just see it there. So that's where I got all the information from. So whatever it says there is what I've quoted. So it's potentially it might have changed since you picked it up. It wasn't in the one that I got, but I did get it when it first came out, going back probably 2 years ago. Mark says I got the memo for tonight, wearing the same T-shirt, but mine's in the blue. Nice taste, mate. Nice taste. And I think that's me kind of caught up with everything. Rob says Mantic website is correct. It does include collector's rulebook. There you go. I knew it wouldn't be wrong. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. So, that is the basics of DREADBALL. Personally, for me, I honestly think it's the best. It's the best sports game that's out there. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Blood Bowl. I think it's overly kind of punishing. It's a bit of a negative experience. I do like Blitz Bowl by GW. It's not widely available, but I would still say I think that DREADBALL is probably the better game. And I just think it's really intuitive. If you go to, I don't know if I can even show you on here, but if I can go to the last page of the rule book, if I can scroll all the way down, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it on your screen because it's pretty kind of white. Where is it? Here we go. On the back cover of the rule book, oh, of course, it just kind of Tech Gremlins. Hang on, where's it gone? There it is. On the back page of the rule book, yeah, of course you can't see it. There's basically kind of like a quick reference guide, which basically takes you through all of the steps. If there's an action that you want to do, it tells you what the action is. We're getting some donations here. Thank you very much, Red Rose War Gaming. Says, how are you, man? I'm going up growth. Thank you very much. And thank you as well, Luke, as well. I've just seen yours too. Thank you for the donations. There's basically like all of the stats. You can almost play the game just by reading that one page of the rules. And basically, if you do something and then think, right, I want to do that, look at that page. It tells you the page numbers where the rules are. It tells you what modifiers they are for each thing. It's really, really well written. And I think it's just super simple. The cards, I think, put an extra element into the game as well. They really mix it up, and kind of one of the things I like about Blitz Bowl is the fact it's not just about scoring. It's about kind of the different cards that actually like sort of change the game up. DREADBALL does exactly the same as well, and to be fair, did it before Blitz Bowl. And I just think it really does mix it up. Lee Russ says, absolutely love DREADBALL, one of Mantic's best games. I wish they'd give it more love. Some of the older team sculpts are pretty ropey, while the newer ones are lovely. I would agree. I think there's a bit of a mixed bag. Some of them are really old now. I think the problem with it is that there's about, if I remember right, I think there's about 27, 29 teams already. So it's like, where do you go? I think from support-wise, things like this book, which we're going to come on to soon, is a prime example of exactly where Mantic can kind of add to DREADBALL. And I would agree, there are some teams maybe could do with a bit of updating. However, it probably depends upon the popularity and stuff. It's not cheap to resculpt a whole team. So the other side of it is as well that's never really been explored is because there's only 3 positions, so jacks, strikers, and guards, you could essentially use whatever models you want, because it's those that have the stats, if you like. What I find is if you paint the bottoms of the hex bases, paint them kind of like red, yellow, or green for the different positions, it makes them stand out on the pitch. Your opponent knows what models they are. So actually the sculpts are probably less important. So there's nothing stopping you going into Mantic's range of miniatures, or anybody else's for that matter, but going in and basically picking out the minis that you want and creating your own Dreadball team, and then just use some of the stats that's in there. Yes, so let me get a drink, and then what a perfect time to talk about this. Sam, thank you very much for the donation as well, buddy. I don't know if it's pinged up on the screen there yet, but it's certainly pinged up on mine. So thank you so much. Right, so let me where are we going? Let's go back. Let's go with these ones. Get all the right buttons playing. Ed saying, what are the minis made of? Plastic or resin? They're mainly plastic, mate. Like a lot of them are PVC. Some of them are multi-part. Some of them are single piece. It depends on the age of the mini and how long they've been around. I think some of the newer stuff is potentially resin, but I must admit I've not bought any of the newer models for quite some time. I know Rob's in the chat. Rob's just saying they're PVC plastic. Yeah, I think maybe the resin ones I'm thinking of might be the new ones. The new ones that I'm talking about now. So, Dreadball Magnetar Circuit, or Magnetar Circuit, I should say, Galactic Tour. This is a new supplement, like a new season supplement for Dreadball, and it's due out on February the 22nd. So it's not available just yet. You can pre-order it at the moment. I've been very kindly sent one by Rob in the chat there as well, to give me a chance to have a look over it and to tell you a little bit about it. So if you're a casual player, there's got some fun stuff in here basically that will change up some of the rules. If you're a serious player, you like going to tournaments and stuff, all of the new stats and the kind of, when I say new stats, the adjustments to existing stats are in here as well, and we'll touch on that in a bit. So there is also in this book, let me go across to our, if I can find the right buttons, this one. In this book is basically the ability to play on 4 different pitches. Now it doesn't change if you've got the pitch you've got at home. Basically, you play on that same pitch. But essentially, what it does is thematically it sets that pitch somewhere else within the Magnetar Circuit, within that kind of galaxy, and those pitches come with their own rules. Andrew, thank you very much for your donation as well, mate. There's some Yank who played a lot of Dreadball. So yeah, the first one is Calvac 6, and Calvac 6 is a swamp pitch, and basically it tells you a little bit of background story about there and well why there's a swamp pitch, why anybody would want to play on a swamp pitch. Spoilers, it's just about people having money and about sponsorship. But there's some excellent rules in there basically. So there's a rule that says, where's the crowd? Because it's out in the middle of this dangerous swamp, there's not really anybody comes to watch these games. So you're playing in a swamp, there's no fans. It means that whenever you do one of the fan checks that I talked about before with the red dots, it essentially, each card you turn over, it reduces the number of red dots by 1. So if you turn it over, it's got 2 red dots, it only adds 1 to your fan check pile. But by the same stretch, because it's really quiet, you can hear the coach much better shouting his orders out. So every turn you get, or every rush, you get an extra coaching die because he's been able to motivate you to be able to kind of play better, and you can hear what he's saying because there's no crowd to get in the way. I like that these rules are kind of like based around the theme. And there's another rule as well, says I'm not playing there, which makes you check at the start of the game to see if your most expensive player even turns up for the game. It's like, I'm not playing there. Like I'm too good to be playing in this kind of game. So I think that's quite a fun thing there as well. There are also other rules as well for this particular one, which sees kind of like vines growing across the pitch as the game goes on, and you can actually push your opponents into the vines, which basically kind of reduces their armor checks and stuff. So this gives you some flavour about what these new pitches do, and gives you some like thematic rules that go along with each of these different themes. The second pitch that's in there as well is the new Atlantia one. This is an underwater pitch. It brings in basically new places for the ball to launch from. So instead of just sort of launching from the two sides, it can also launch from either end of the pitch, which really mixes up kind of where the ball comes in. As I mentioned before, in DREADBALL, the game doesn't reset after you score a strike. So basically, there's not a chance of kind of getting back to your end of the pitch to defend against your opponent. The ball's going to come in from multiple different locations now, or can come in from multiple locations, and that really does mix it up a bit. There's also things like razor sharp coral as well. So the strike zones are made of razor sharp coral, and there's some sort of things that you have to do to get out of that. And there's also something called tidal flux, and there's a table where you basically roll on this tidal flux table, and it will decide what the water is particularly doing at that time. What's the sort of the tides of the sea are doing, and they have different effects on the different rushes. The third new pitch is the Overstar 2. And this is on a floating platform in the sky. And as you can imagine, the rules reflect this, with one of them being called It's a Long Way Down. So this brings in falling tests where you can actually fall off the side of this floating pitch in the sky. If you manage to pass the test, basically you kind of get one hand on the side of the pitch and manage to drag yourself back up on top of it. If you fail this test, you basically fall to your death. However, you don't necessarily die, because they have something which is called a cryo revision chamber, and you roll on a table, and this might see you coming back completely healthy, revived from death. It might see you come back to play, but with maybe some kind of untoward side effects, or it might find that there's some malfunction with the cryo chamber and it basically freezes you, and that's it, you're dead and out of the game. So there's some cool stuff in there as well. There's another rule which is called pitch and yaw, and as you can imagine, this big floating platform is kind of moving around up in the sky, and as it moves, basically the players can move around the pitch. Obviously, as you move, you might fall off the side of the pitch as well, so you go back and do your falling tests. So this is kind of, everything's set up to plan. You might have somebody just waiting on a strike hex ready to catch the ball, and the whole kind of pitch tilts and everybody moves and slides out of the way. So there's some really fun kind of would you want to do these in a very serious competitive environment? Maybe not, but I can imagine in league play and certainly fun games, they'll really do mix it up. And the last pitch is called the Memphis Max, and this is basically a really sought after casino pitch where everybody wants to play. And as you can imagine, gambling is rife within the casino pitch. So there's a rule called place your bets. This sees you being able to gamble on things like fan support, scoring, or team experience. And there's even a chance basically to discard one of your cards from your hand and actually switch up your bets at some point during the game. So if you've placed that you think kind of your team's going to kind of score or whatever, or basically going to win the game, and it's not going your way, you can basically burn a card and basically move your bets and stuff, which I think is quite cool. And there's different odds as well for basically what you win back. And there's also something, as you can imagine, being in a really popular casino, the fans are going wild. It's hard to tell whether the fans are actually cheering for the quality of the game on the pitch, or if they're cheering because basically somebody's just being killed and they've won a bet kind of thing. So there's a rule called incessant cheering, which sees you drawing a fan check card at the end of each rush, I should say. So because there's a load of cheering, you automatically get fan checks. And there's also a guest referee, but we'll come on to that in a second. Now, what they've also included in this book is basically after every pitch has been described, there's then also the rules or the stat lines for an historic match. So these are imagined kind of like famous games from years gone by. It might be kind of England, Argentina in Mexico 86 or something like that. Is that right? Yeah, it was Mexico 86. It might be one of those historical games or something like that type thing. And there's basically two predetermined teams with sort of all of the stats for the players, the players' names, or any enhancements that they've had and stuff. And basically just gives you some nice background story too. So this really kind of fills out some almost thematic kind of narrative type play as well. Now also in this expansion, there is also 4 new support specialists. And that is these fellas here, or these fellas and ladies, I should say here. So, and each of these basically has a rule in the game. In the top left there, you can see a character called Mechanic, and she basically gives you successful armor checks. So what you basically do is, if you were to roll on an armor check when one of your opponents slams against you, you roll on an armor check, and if you fail to succeed, you can basically use this support specialist to give you extra successes on your armor check. And what you do is, if you want one success, you can basically use one success, and you will place her in the number 1 in the sin bin, and she'll be out of the game for one more rush. If you need 3 successes, you can place her in the number 3 in the sin bin, and you'll get those 3 successes, but she'll be out of the game for 3 more turns. So you kind of use them wisely, type thing. The next one is, in the bottom left, is Hydrator. And Hydrator will give you successful dash checks. The dash, as I mentioned before, allows you to push your luck, and kind of, if you've come to the end of your move and you're 1 hex shy of getting into the strike zone, you can basically push your luck and just, I forget what it is. I think it's an agility test, and basically you have to roll to succeed. If you don't succeed, that means you basically fumble the ball and kind of hand it over. So you might want to use Hydrator to basically give you a bonus in that. Bottom right is Fixer, as you can see there. They look a little bit suspicious. A couple of Z's there on top of each other's shoulders. And it says these basically give you a distract check success. So distracting is part of fouling. You can imagine these two are shouting from the sidelines, trying to distract the referee to allow you to foul without getting caught. And then in the top right is a character called Thoth. And basically, if you play on the glittering, sparkling casino pitch, he can come in as like a guest referee, and because he's so fast and agile, he can actually move twice as fast as a normal ref bot. If you want to use him on any of the other pitches, you can actually recruit him as an MVP player as well. So MVPs are like mercenaries, basically. You can recruit them into your team. They're not kind of like loyal to any one particular team. So also included in the book as well is new and updated stats for 29 teams. So basically, I've gone through them all. I'm not going to tell you exactly what each of the different kind of changes are and stuff. Some of the teams have no changes. Some teams have a little bit of a change. So for example, the Veerman, the guard, basically the agility has gone up, I suppose, or gone down from a 4+ to a 3+. So they're a bit more kind of, their agility is a bit better now, and all of the different positions gain boost. Things like Renton's Rejects and what was the other one? The Zor team as well have had multiple changes. So if you're playing on your kitchen table with your partner or whatever, or your family, you might not be interested so much in the stat changes. But if you're going to be playing in online leagues or any of that stuff, you're going to need the latest stats as well. But for me personally, if I just go back to this screen, for me personally, I think this is exactly the kind of thing that keeps Dreadball kind of fresh and alive. There's a lot of teams out there. There's loads of choice. If there's a team you don't like the look of, you can always kind of create your own team. Just use some of the stats that's existing. But I would definitely suggest, if you've never played the game before, download the free rules and give it a try. Kind of just have a look over it and give it a go. And if you've been playing for a while and you just want to freshen your game up, 100% check this out. I read through it and I was kind of like smiling as I was reading some of the stuff. It's really well done. Some of the rules have been really well thought out. Like things like the I'm not playing there rule, about the idea that like your star player is kind of too good to turn up to some swamp pitch. They're really fun and thematic, and they just bring a little bit more fun to the games as well. So it's available from February the 22nd. You can pre-order it from your local friendly gaming store. You can pre-order it from the Mantic website as well. You can even pre-order it from Goblin Gaming through my affiliate link, which it helps support me and the channel, and you'll get a small discount as well from Goblin Gaming. So yeah, check it out. So folks, let me go back to the main screen here. I'm out of breath. Let me have a quick look again and see what we've been chatting about. So I think folks are obviously just talking about the different bits and pieces. There's a bit of chat going backwards and forwards as well. I'm not going to try and break them all in. Story time with Mr. Riddle. Hello, nice to see you there as well. We've got Scott saying, I bought an neoprene pitch. Does this mean the new pitches will get more pitches to purchase? I don't know, mate. I don't know if I'm not really sure, to be honest. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't change the game. The pitch is still the pitch. It's still the same layout. I've got a neoprene pitch as well, to be fair. I mean, it might be nice to kind of see some of those things, but I guess they become optional. They're not needed to be able to play it. I'm sure some people will. It's a perfect opportunity to start seeing some kind of modelling as well. I want to see somebody do a floating pitch. Luke says, sounds like a great supplement. I think it's like, is it like 17 quid, something like that? Might be. Is it as much as that? Let me do a quick check on their website, so I don't misquote the price. DREADBALL books. It is $14.99. So 15 quid in the UK. I don't know the overseas prices, but £15 in the UK. I think for that you're getting your value for money out of that. The rules for the different pitches really do mix it up. The story, the kind of like the background stories that come in with the historical stuff is interesting as well. If you like a little bit of narrative stuff with your games, and obviously for those that play a bit more seriously and want the latest rules, the latest stats, they're all in there too. Let's have a look. 130 else says the purple worm guys look like Ninja Turtle villain from the 80s. I love the fixer. I said when Mantic first, or Rob to be fair, who's there, did the live stream, like their open day, and they revealed that model. It was like, I need a big version of that. I want one about 4 or 5 inches tall, like it's like a bust on my table. I would love to get a 3D print of one of those just to paint up and have on my desk. Dash is a speed test. Thank you very much. Yes. Marcus is saying, I agree so much. TMT character. Andrew says the Hydrator is Flurple. He's totally tube-tacular. I thought it was called Flurple, but I just picked the names out of the book. Story time with Mr. Russell. That's just one guy. Shh! Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. He definitely does the water boy. You're fired. Christian saying, get your original T-shirts and hoodies. Thank you very much. Very kind of you to share the links there, mate. John saying, my Forge fathers need Flurple. Spunky Taz says, I hope those suckers on Hydrator and not nipple, otherwise I pass on the Hydrator rate. Steve says, where was that one? Steve says, what, my beloved Zor, what has Mr. B done to them? I wrote down here, mate, next to Zor, multiple changes, because I started to list them, and then I thought there's too many to mention. So Zor's have had a bit of an update. Mark says he still needs to get to his Chromium chargers. John says Renton's rejects were meant to be well overpowered. I think I've seen they were even banned at some tournaments. They've definitely had some adjustments made, to be fair. So yeah, maybe they're not quite as powerful as they were. I mean, the vast majority of teams have had some tweaks. The game was pretty balanced to start with. Let's be fair. It's not had a major overhaul, but there's things like where something's changed from a 3+ to a 4+, or where sometimes it's just the cost of the models that's changed as well. So when you're recruiting them for your kind of your league games and stuff, the cost of the models have changed. There's been somewhere they've had some of their abilities. They've had stuff either added or taken away. So I wouldn't say it's a major overhaul. It's been tweaks basically mainly throughout. Simon Tuckley, hello. He says, did you play anything for Valentine's Night? That's a personal question, mate. No, we got to take away curry. Rob saying they've been tweaked a lot. Yes, Renton's rejects have been tweaked a lot. Again, against Renton's reject, I've wrote multiple changes. The two that have had the big changes have been the Zor and Renton's rejects. The others have kind of had more tweaks, I would suggest. Andrew says, brilliant segment, mate. Thanks. Thank you very much, mate. You are welcome. Jacob says, I think I'm going to get snowed in tonight. It's snow almost to my knees. Hello, Jacob, by the way. Story time with Mr. Riddle says, I just got a shout out. You got two, mate. Let's have a little look. Mark's in, yeah, $14.99. Christian says, challenge accepted, floating pitches now in my brain. When I was reading it, mate, it was in my brain as well. I had all sorts of sort of ideas about this thing being kind of like floating in midair, but with chains on it to stop it basically floating into the sky, but technically still able to kind of move around on these chains. Yeah, I really like the idea of it. Rob says, trying to get you a 3. Oh, that would be awesome, mate. Even if it could just get a digital file or something and I could pay somebody to print it for me, that would be amazing. I would love one just to paint up and stick it on my desk. Simon says, 100 likes and Andy will level up. What we're at, how many we got? 48 likes with 94 people in. You tightwads. Lee says, great overview. Definitely going to pick it up. And Zor changed to I'm in. Yeah, honestly, I mean, what I will say as well, Rob, the smell of the ink. It doesn't smell like like, you know when you get that like new book smell? This has got a different smell. But I love it. I was sitting with it open. I'd been reading it over the weekend and stuff. But I was sitting with it like open on my desk while I was kind of doing all the notes today. And I just kept getting a whiff of the ink. And it was like, oh, it's actually quite nice. Simon says, when's the 10k draw going to take place? It's going to happen really soon, mate. We'll go through a few more comments and then we'll go and do the draw. Luke saying there, Swamp Pitch will be awesome project too. It will be. I can see kind of like a nice like hobby project for all of these things. There's loads of places online where people do kind of custom pitches and things, but I actually like the idea of the main playing surface just being a kind of regular pitch, but just actually like the surrounding stuff, like the fact that, like you say, the fact it's out in the swamp and there's nobody really watching. You don't have to like kind of model stands or anything like that. Just being out in the middle of like even sort of like water effects around the outside, it would be amazing. Where are we at here? Andrew says, I'm a betting man, so I'm all for the casino pitch. My wife would argue that my perspiration would make me gravitate to the swamp pitch. Mark says, a big pitch, a floating 3D pitch would be awesome. Oh, 100%. Sam says, thanks for the live stream. 8 minis assembled and based, 4 ready for basing, all ready to be primed. Cracking on, mate. That's the way to do it. Luke says, I did my downvote. Vehement Musk sent. Rob says, it's ink from Flurple. I tell you what, mate, you can send Flurple my way any day. That was like the Valentine's. That was the Valentine's special. The musk of a Flurple. Storytime with Mr. Riddle says, I love the Mantic rulebooks. I like magazines. I like the fact that you can pick them up digitally as well, because I quite, when I'm kind of doing work like this, I like to have a book on another screen and I can kind of like highlight a bit while I'm typing away. It kind of keeps my hands free to kind of do that. But for playing the game and stuff like that, I've just been able to sit and read through them. There's nothing beats a proper book as well. Mark says he's going to order his next week. Birthday after the day release. Nice one. Rob says, don't ask how I extracted it. Oh, that's it. That reminds me of the Meet the Fockers bit about the cat, where he goes, I have nipples. Can you milk me? Christian says, what are the dimensions of the pitch and the hex size? I don't remember off the top of my head, mate, but I've obviously got a few pictures at home. I will send you some information. John says, oops, just hit the like. Never mind. Oops, mate. I make sure you hit it 3 times. It's even better. Just because it comes on and then it goes off and then it comes on again. Scott says, a floating pivot pitch on a ball and socket joint. Stop it, I'm doing it. Nice one. Yes, Rob does work for Mantic. Luke says, nothing better than the smell of a new rulebook, opening a new board game or opening a booster of cards. I think it's the smell version of whatever they add to Pringles. I've got that kind of addiction to the smell of new trainers as well. So if you get a really nice new pair of trainers and you open the box and that smell of kind of new trainer smell before they've been worn and before they've gone outside, I'm kind of addicted to that smell and the smell of rule books as well. There's just something about it. I'm a man with simple pleasures. Right, I tell you what we'll do then. Let's get on and draw the winner for, if I can go to the right screens. Here we go. Oh, I can turn that off now. Here we are. So you should be able to see that. This is my 10,000 subscriber giveaway video. And what I'm going to do is, can you see? Oh, you can't see just on the top of the screen there. Actually, what I'll do is I'll do it here. So share, I'm going to copy the link for the video. And then into this random YouTube comment thing, I will post that. Oops, I've put it in twice. Let me just delete that out. I will post that in. And filter duplicate users. So if you've put 2 comments in, you don't get 2 entries. We'll get the YouTube comments. So as you can see, there were 399 unique comments. And then we will go here. And then when I click this button, this will pick the winner. I'll give the winner a week to get in touch with me. Because obviously I don't know everybody kind of personally who's entered. And then what we'll do is once you get in touch, I'll put you in touch with Mantic and then they can arrange to get you out your mega army of choice. So Thank you, everybody, for your kind words about hitting 10,000 subscribers. I think we're at about 12,100 now or something. So it's kind of crept up a little bit since then. But thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you as well for all of the kind of suggestions as well that you put in. It's given me a lot to think about our future content as well. And thank you for keep watching the channel. So, best of luck, everybody. And the winner is, let's see who it is. Scott Webster. He said he wants more Malifaux, more Wild West Exodus, some dystopian wars. I wonder which company he plays the games of. Some of those What's in the Box videos. Congrats on 10K. It's great to see someone who makes quality content grow not only a great channel, but a fantastic community. Thank you very much for the kind words. So, Scott Webster, sir, you are the winner. I know who Scott Webster is. He's one of my Patreons, so I know exactly how to contact him. But Scott, if you're not in the chat tonight, I think you might have been earlier on. We'll get in touch with you, mate, and we'll organise getting you out your win prize. Thank you very much for entering, everybody. So, folks, Scott is the winner. Let me get my chat back up again so I can actually see what you're all talking about. Everyone's saying congrats, Scott. Story time with Mr. Riddleson. He's pre-ordered the book and the minis when they were available. Just a waiting game. Yeah, I don't think they actually start shipping until the 22nd. So there's a little while to wait for those ones. But what's that? About a week or something, isn't it? So not too long now. But yeah, I've given you a bit of a flavour about what you can expect in there anyway. But yeah, you won't be sorry with your purchase. That's for sure. Simon says new board game and rule book smells are my weakness. Everyone's saying fingers crossed and stuff. John Ashley Smith, nice to see you in as well. Everyone's saying congrats to Scott as well. Yeah, and where are we up to? There it was. Luke saying the Mega Army deals from Mantic are horrifically good value. I don't know what I would have picked had I won. Probably the Goblins. Yeah, if I'd won it, I'm not really sure what I'd have, but I think potentially the Goblins, because I like the idea. Is it the Goblins that have got the Giant with them as well, isn't it? I think there's just a lot of minis for that, and actually, because they like you say, they're fantastic value. You get a lot of minis in. So yes, Scott Longworth saying my name is Scott Webster, not Scott Longworth. Trying to sneak that one in there, mate. So let me get a drink of water. I feel like I've not stopped for breath. We've gone like an hour. We blasted through that. Excuse me. Luke's saying the Giants come with the Goblins. Yeah, yeah, the Goblins it would have been them, mate. Yeah, I think that's what I said. Mark's saying the Ratkins look damn good as well. Yeah, there's some great ones. I mean, to be fair, folks, just because you didn't win doesn't mean you can't buy them as well. Definitely check them out. But yeah, I must admit, after reading through this book and kind of giving it some thought, I'm really tempted to do like a little pitch project. It's just maybe something as a bit of a side burning thing. Maybe like not just to like knock out in the next kind of like couple of days, but just as a little bit of a side project. I've got the pitch from version 1 as well, and I've got a pitch from version 2, and then I've got the what's it called? I've got the neoprene pitch as well. So yeah, I could be tempted to use one of those as a base for something like this. Story time with Mr. Riddle saying Goblins look really good. Ratkins next. Yeah, Ratkin are nice as well. The new Ratkin stuff that's just come out are really nice. VJ says, apologies for my tardiness. The rain stopped me running earlier. Yeah, I did see you comment in the Discord, mate. You were going to be a bit later. Alder Von Wells says, good morning all. He's about to head off to work. I'll catch the replay later. Thank you for popping in, mate. John saying, I'm bummed out that Mantic stuff is hard to find it in Canada. Do you have a local store that you could kind of ask them to kind of bring in? I know they definitely have like distributors out there, so I guess it's possible. Do you know what I mean? It's not impossible to get them. 130 odd says, are Ratkin even a possible price, seeing as they're not out yet? No, if it's not possible, if they don't sell them yet, you couldn't get one. But some of the new stuff, I mean, the new Ratkin stuff that's been released is really nice. VJ says, also having a bit of a shit morning. Just had $2,000 of gigs next month cancel. Oh God, mate, I can't even imagine what it must be like at the minute. Luke says, when we can, who'll be up for a blackjack tournament meetup, even a DREADBALL slow grow to build up? Yeah, 100%, mate. I'll be up for playing some games and meeting up for that one. Lord Maiden says, how about a DREADBALL March team painting? if folks fancy it, I'm 100% happy to run that. I was thinking about sort of picking one up for myself anyway. So yeah, if folks want to do that, I'm happy to do that. If we get 5 people in the chat who want to do a Dreadball March, let me know and we'll do it. James is saying the Ratkin Mega Army is up for pre-order, ships in a month. I assume in that case, then yeah, you probably could. I didn't realise it was coming out soon. Christian about sharing the link there as well for Amazon. Thank you very much, mate. Luke saying I've got so many teams, I'd be well up for a March paint. Yes. Ian H says meet up, the commute would kill me. Yeah, Rob saying happy for everyone to meet up at Mantic for a Dreadball day. That would be awesome, mate. We didn't manage to get the Kings of War meet up because obviously COVID hit. But yeah, I think what we should do is let's have a little bit of positivity. Let's see that there's some light at the end of this tunnel of getting out and actually playing games again. Let's paint up a Dreadball team in March. You'll have a month to do it. Actually, I'm saying you got a month to do it. You're gonna have to buy one first if you don't have one, don't you? And then they're not expensive, to be fair, so that's pretty good. Yeah, let's work it out, but we'll do it. I might give you a bit extra time to allow for people to actually purchase them as well. But yeah, let's do that, and then when the world gets back to normal and it starts spinning on its normal axis again, let's get a meet up at Mantic as well. Awesome. Blizzard saying he's in for it. Steve said he's in for it as well. Dreadball Blackjack tournament. I tell you what we'd do. For the Dreadball Blackjack tournament, I think what we might do is we might even create some special sort of blackjack event cards as well to mix into the decks. We might do something like that as well to mix it up a bit. So when we can meet, we'll throw in something to mix it up a bit. I like the idea. John says there's a place that will order it for me. I think it depends whether the distributor deal with charismatic products. I think if I remember right, they do deal with one of the bigger distributors. I think. Scott says he's in for a Dreadball March in a gaming meet. Nice one. Warwick says yeah, Mantic Minis are non-existent or close to that where I am in the States. No gaming stores seem to have much in the way of tabletop other than GW. Yeah, I think it's quite sad actually that a lot of them are like that. They basically. It's kind of self-fulfilling though, isn't it? Where basically they stick with that one little that one niche of GW stuff because it kind of sells relatively well. But then if you never stock the stuff, you'll never grow the stuff to sell more of it. Sometimes you do, like in any business, you've sometimes got to take a bit of a chance on stuff. But I think it's over time. I think these things will kind of it has to expand as GW start. Sort of holding stuff back from local gaming stores. I can see gaming stores starting to get a little bit peeved with their practices, and they'll start to branch out to other companies as well. So I think at some point that will improve. Sunded Sykes says morning all. I've no idea what Dreadball is. Overview, please. I will direct you back to the first hour of the stream. It'll take me another hour to take you through it. Essentially, Dreadball is a sci-fi futuristic sports game played on a hex grid. 2 teams of 6 players each trying to throw a ball into one of 3 strike hexes, which have varying points values. That's kind of a whistle-stop tour. Luke says, got until March to get one and then run to mid-April. Yeah, I think we might do something. We'll maybe run it like mid-March to mid-April. Or we'll run it from the start of March to mid-April to give people a chance to kind of to purchase one if they have to as well. And ASDF says Speedball 2 in tabletop form. It is quite similar to that, to be fair. Where one? Let's have a quick look while I'm looking down here. That just jumped way off the top of my screen. Missed loads of comments on that one. Christian says, when does the Dreadball core game get released? I think it just needs to come back into stock, mate. I think that's the problem. I think it must be sold out at the moment. John says, it sounds like a plan. He'd be up for that as well. Lord Maiden says, doing some quick calculations, the 31st of March lands on a Wednesday. We could show off some teams then. Yeah, do you know what? I might let it run till the middle of April, mate. But I will definitely use either the Monday stream or the Wednesday stream to show off some people's like the completed teams, if you like. We'll definitely do that, mate. Storytime says, can we order them to be shipped to US? Yeah, if you go to the Mantic website, mate, they definitely ship worldwide. I assumed it was out of stock, Rob. It's just shown as pre-order. Peter says, a new game. Anyway, maybe just what a doctor ordered, so Dreadball it is. Yeah, I mean, essentially, I think the teams are about £20-25, depending on where you buy them from. So it's and you'll get like a number of models in. Let me just very quickly, if I flick across to the right screen here, I'm showing you behind the screens now. You all get to see my bit. I'll just show you some of the teams there as well, so you get an idea of the different stuff you can have. So these are, so some teams, there's some about 20, some about 25, depending upon the models in them as well. But there's a Veeman team, which is behind me there. There it is. The Veeman team is the like kind of the Rat People. We've got a Metabot team. We've got a Kalishi team here as well. There's a Adalorana team, which are kind of, you don't even have to paint these ones, folks. I don't want anybody cheating with that. These ones come with like kind of these translucent blue models. You don't even have to paint those ones. There's a cop out for anybody that doesn't want to paint. You've got like Green Moon Smackers, which are the Marauders, or like the kind of the sci-fi orcs. There's Nameless, which are like a really weird alien race. Let me just get that one up so you can kind of see those as well. Some creepy looking dudes in that one. There's the Zors. There's the Convicts. I like these ones as well, the Life of Convicts. I just like the idea of painting up a load of ne'er-do-wells. Some nice models in those ones. I quite like the Brocker team as well. I don't know if the Brockers are on this page. There's your these are one of the newer teams, the Matsudan team. So these are one of the later ones that's been released with some of the newer sculpts. They're pretty nice too. These are the Forge Father ones for those that haven't seen them. Little angry dwarves playing sports. And if we then go into, I think the Brocker team's on here. Here they go. I quite like the look of these ones. They look like they're some kind of chain gang type thing. I might pick myself up a Brocker team, I think. I might be tempted to do those ones. And I might paint them up in that kind of like the blue colour that I did my my dwarfs for Kings of War in as well. You got Teraton team, so there's a mouth twister. These are kind of like almost kind of sort of angry turtles, basically, with their shells on the back and stuff like that. They're pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, there's a number of different teams. There's obviously human teams as well, so there's things which are kind of like this as well. So there's a number of different types of teams there. So I'll let you look at them in your own time. But yeah, there's plenty of choice. And again, as I said before as well, if you want to make your own team up as well, you absolutely can. Spunky Taz says Andy as a ref, only if we can name him the Sniffer. Or it would be a bit much, I think, to get me making a load of sort of sculpted ref models. That would be a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? A bit self-centric, maybe. No, I think we might stick with cards. Simon Tutley says, "Guess I'll have to buy that Mantic Giant now. You can have a team of giants." Sam says, "The reality now is companies are trying to bypass distributors out of necessity." I think some are made, not all of them, but I think certainly, I think because for example, GW sell pretty much everything they make at the moment, why would they not want to kind of keep most of that profit for themselves? So they're definitely pushing more and more of it through their own web source, through their own website, and also that's why they're giving away like sort of models and stuff and extras when you come and buy your stuff in store. They want you to shop with them now. They're big enough that basically they've got people hooked now, haven't they? John says, Mantic have a really good guy, Kyle, I can't even pronounce his name, is it Przensky, in North America, who will work with stores to help them. Yeah, Kyle is really good with that stuff. He's basically like the US sales guy. Where are we up to here? Let's see where we're up to. Oh, here we go. Peter says, no Dreadball for me, can't play it solo. You can technically, mate. You could play it solo, but It's about getting ready for when you can. We have to start looking forward now. Otherwise, I'm guilty of this as much as anybody. But we've got to start looking at light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, it'll just feel like a dark cloud forever, I think. Mark says, I would travel up to HQ for a Dreadball day. Nice one, mate. Barry says, haven't seen much Dreadball, but the stores by me have most Mantic products. Definitely worth checking out, mate. Definitely worth checking out. Brent B says, how about sneaking the BlackJack symbol every painted figure for the month? I'll have to try and get it in somehow. John says, one product line I'm dying to see show up in shops are those War Games Atlantic sets. They look to be fantastic value. I think they're good value, but I think they're a pig to put together, mate. There was somebody in our Patreon group today was saying that the spiders are an absolute nightmare. Rob says, working on solo rules, stay tuned. I tell you what, Rob, I've been working in the background trying to come up with some solo rules for Armada. It'll be the first time I've ever done any solo rules. So I'm kind of working away looking at how to do some stuff. Because I thought Armada is the kind of game, because I was thinking X-Wing, there's a really good sort of solo kind of expansion for X-Wing, and I think that a lot of that can be like almost leaned upon a little bit for Armada. So I've been tinkering away with some. It's nowhere near ready to show anybody, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it in my spare time. Marcus is saying the 3 local game stores stock all sorts of stuff here. Will order their customers just about everything. Yeah, mate. Andrew Fairbanks, good afternoon, mate. He says, I'll be watching later, trying to finish work and somehow survive the new Texas ice age. I never think of Texas as a place that you would get like snow and like cold. It's weird. Been stuck at home with the 1-year-old twins for a whole week. Just a week. Just a week. I've been stuck in the house with a 4-year-old for 12 months. Story time with Mr. Realtor. I have to drive almost 2 hours to a good shop. Want to do game club at school, but with COVID. To be honest, mate, there's not a lot of gaming clubs nearby to me either, really. Certainly not ones that play the games that I want to play. There's one which is over in Sunderland. Obviously, lockdown and COVID and all that stuff's put pay to that. But there's not it's not. They don't stock a lot of stuff. Like most of the stuff I buy online for that very reason. To be fair, Luke says he's managed to do loads of typing and threading and rigging. Feels productive. A nice one. Productive is good. Lord Maiden says, no worries, I'm looking forward to this. Where are we going? Let's have a look. We're going down. 1:30 altars. I have to be going now. Need to prepare supper. It was fun being with you all. Thank you for coming in. Nice to see some new faces. John saying, I consider myself lucky just to have got a Mantic First Edition Dead Zone starter force and a dozen minis. One thing I haven't mentioned is if you already have like sort of First Edition, all you really need to do to upgrade to Second Edition is to get the rule book, which of course is free, or you can buy it online, and to get a set of the cards as well. But you can still use your First Edition pitch, and you can still use your First Edition minis as well. So there's no difference between them. The rules have changed, obviously, and the cards have changed, but the models are exactly the same, if you like. They still use the same hex bases, and the pitch is still the same layout. Somebody, I think it was Palmsy, was asking before, but what's the difference with Dreadball Extreme or Dreadball Ultimate and Dreadball? Essentially, mate, they're just different rules. Dreadball Ultimate or Dreadball Extreme, I forget which one you're asking. Dreadball Extreme is basically played like slightly different rules, played like in a it's kind of like it's street it's street Dreadball really, with some tweaks to the rules and stuff. It's played on a square pitch if I remember right. But the minis themselves in that box can still be used with normal Dreadball and vice versa as well. Dreadball Ultimate, I think, is for multiple players, so for like 3 or 4 players as well. It might even go up to 6. I think it's played on a hex pitch, which allows you to play with multiple players all playing on the same time. Lord Maiden says, I already got the blue plastic ghosts. Paul says, I was never really interested in Dreadball, but I really hoped they would release Star Saga stat cards for some of the weird races. I think Zor Bug Hunt will be an ace campaign for Star Saga. I know if you've got Star Saga, you can use the Mason Labs miniatures in Dreadball as well, I think. Is it? Oh, you use them in Dead Zone, don't you? There's a bit of a mixture. There's so much crossover with the Mantic stuff. I forget which one's which. Scott says, I've got 2 lots of those convicts. They're nice, those convict ones, mate. I really like them. Luke says, I really like the Brockers. I have to paint my team in Dolphins colours. Tasty Brain Drain saying there's some really good paint jobs on those Dreadball teams. Yeah, there's some nice ones on the website, isn't there? Scott saying 2 lots of Ronnie's Rejects. Did you buy 2 of those boxes, mate? Did you? Spider Lord saying Magnetic HQ's just down from the road in him as well. He'll be definitely up for a meet-up. Nice one. He's been sticking foam to his Necron stuff. John says he's supposed to get 15 to 25 centimetres of snow starting overnight. I think we're over the word. Although I think it's going to come back in about a week's time. Like I say, we're busy getting some fencing put up. The guys came today to start kind of digging out holes to put fence posts in and stuff. And it was like digging through concrete, trying to break through the ground. Warwick says, in regard to playing a competitive game solo, you can do it. Foiling your old plans constantly lets you how to counter move opponents to stop what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, technically you can play any game solo. You just have to play both sides. Yeah. Sunderland says, evening, just dropping by and being curious about Dreadball. We've kind of been talking about it for about the last hour and 15 minutes, mate, to be fair, so I'm sorry if you've missed the bulk of it, but definitely go back and check out the stream. I tell you everything about Dreadball, the basics, how the game plays, and then go over this this new expansion here as well, and about what's included in that. Paul says Dreadball Extreme is basically Sunday League Dreadball. No worries, Palmsy. I remembered you asked about that, mate. And John saying, yeah, that's good to know my enforcers are still viable in 2nd edition. Yeah, the models haven't changed. The hex sizes on the bases haven't changed. The layout of the pitch hasn't changed. If you've got the 1st edition and you just want to upgrade, you just need the new rules and the new cards. John says Dreadball Extreme, £10 on Mantic website at the moment. That's a really good bargain as well. If anybody's wanting to pick up the teams that are in there can be used in Dreadball as well. Ian says, I used to play chess against myself all the time. I think lots of people do, actually. Because you're almost, you know what you're wanting to do. So what's the way out of that? You're learning to react as much as learning to play, as opposed to that kind of stuff. Rob saying, yeah, it also includes 3 Dreadball teams. Yeah, it's fantastic value, that. And Spider Lord says, I'm sure I've got a couple of teams along with a core set. Might be nice to paint something different. Yeah, I've got the 2 teams from the 1st edition core set. I've got the 2 teams from the 2nd edition core set. But I think I'm gonna treat myself to a new team to paint for this little March painting challenge thing, and then I've got something that I've painted up to take to our Dreadball day when we eventually have one. Steve says the 1st edition corporation teams are one of my favourite to play. Yeah, I think I'm not really worried about how they play. I think I just want something that I like to look off to paint, I think. So, yeah, sounds like a plan. Let me get a quick drink here, my throat drying out. So, folks, it feels like we've got a bit of a plan then for March. We're going to have a Dreadball painting challenge for March. We did one with Dead Zone last year. That seemed really popular. So I think we'll crack on and do that. What I should do is I should really order my team before they sell out. I should order myself a team before they sell out, because last time it went nuts with the Dreadballs, with the Dead Zone stuff. Marcus says, did I just save money by tuning only now? No, there's still time to spend money, mate. There's always time for that. Lord Maiden says, I managed to pick up 6 teams, 4 from the core sets, the Ghosts and the Pushers. I can see about painting all 6 teams now. Yeah, any of those will do, mate. Not the Ghost ones, though. Wormwood says, for 10 quid, the terrain alone is worth it from the Extreme set. I've had more use out of them for sci-fi game and a scatter terrain. I might have to pick one up. I remember when somebody, I think it might have been Scott Longworth, telling me they were cheap on the Mantic website. And I was like, oh, I don't need to buy stuff, like, just because it's cheap. I don't need to buy more stuff that I'll never get round to. I'm starting to regret it now, because I can guarantee they'll be sold out straight away. Spunky Taz says, I want some rats to play. Bite on mice from Mars. Well, you get yourself some Veerman, mate. You can use those. Storytime Mr. Riddle says, did you talk about the new book released? A great read. Do you mean the new the book by Winged Hussar Publishing, the actual story? I've been sent it actually by Winged Hussar, and I've not had a chance to read it yet. But I have got it in like Kindle format to be able to read it, and I do plan to read some of those books and give a bit of a review of them at some point. I've also been listening to, if I can get it on my phone and remember what it's called, there's an audio book I've been listening to, which was basically kind of inspired by Dreadball. Let me see if I can find the name of it now. It should be in my last. It's a book called, let me have a look, called The Rookie. And it's, let me see what the cover says. I don't want it to start playing. I want it to, it's called Galactic Football League Book 1, The Rookie. And it's by Scott Sigler. There's a whole range of them, and it's really reminiscent of Dreadball. It's almost as if it's been like sort of written for Dreadball, if you like. If you want to try it for free, you can click on my Amazon link. It'll get you a free, if you get a 3 months Audible, you can download the book for free. You get to keep it. I make a small commission for you trying it out. But if you're into Dreadball, I would definitely recommend checking out The Rookie. Is the first book in the story, and it's essentially about like this kind of interplanetary, almost a bit more American football style game, but interplanetary kind of sports tournament where all the different races are all kind of in the teams together and stuff. That's one thing with Dreadball, is you tend to have all the same races in a team against other races. But within this kind of storybook, it's essentially kind of all the different races come together and just kind of like get traded around between the different teams. But they're flying around to all these different galaxies and stuff to play against each other. It's really, really interesting. It's really well written, and it's really well narrated as well, to be fair. Andrew says The Rookie was written a bit before Dreadball. Was it really me? I've got no idea how old it is, but somebody recommended it to me and I absolutely loved it. So I think it was somebody in a comment in one of my videos. Storytime with Mr. Riddle. Last Hurrah. That's the one, mate. I do have it. Have I got it in my books here? I'm pretty sure I have it on my Kindle thing here. But yeah, I've not had a chance to read it yet, purely just because I'm either working, looking after my little one, or sleeping at the minute. So yeah, I definitely want to catch up and read it. Where are we up to here? So yes, I will talk about it when I've had a chance to read it, mate. Paul said, I was going to see after Dead Zone Challenger. You probably should alert Mantic. You might be cleaning him out of Dreadball stuff. Well, Rob's been in the chat tonight, so hopefully he might have disappeared to just go and check stocks. John says, off topic, but have you played Gaslands? I have played Gaslands, mate. Pretty fun game. I don't really enjoy the hobby side of like kind of the like the Matchbox cars and stuff like that. I don't really get as much enjoyment from that as I do from like sort of painting miniatures and things. But the game itself's fun. Nothing wrong with the game, that's for sure. Last Hurrah, yeah, that's the one. Scott was saying, yeah, he bought 2 of the Extreme games. Andrew says The Rookie was written a bit before. No, he's wrong. Published 2013. Andrew says The Last Hurrah. Author Robert Waters says there will be a sequel. Good one. I am looking forward to reading. I think I might have read the first chapter, but I got sidetracked and I've not read anything since then. Rob says I'm warning the warehouse. On standby. Tell them not to ship anything out. Don't sell anything until I've had a chance to put my own order in first. I'll end up missing out on my own challenge because I was too late doing it. Yoakum saying good night, folks. Good stream tonight. Take care. Thank you, Yoakum. Last week, Thursday, we had another Dungeons and Dragons evening. So Christian, who's in the chat tonight, was our DM. Very, very well prepared and ran a fantastic night of D&D. Yoakum was there as well. We had a few others in the chat, some others from our group as well. I think Peter was there. I'm trying to remember who else is in the chat tonight. I think James was in as well. I'm trying to think who else was anybody who was in the chat that was in. But there was a number of us as well. Lord Maiden, I think it was as well. Yeah, a number of us was in D&D the other night. Good fun. That was my second ever D&D, and yeah, really enjoyed it. Yeah, there he is, Lord Maiden. Yeah, he said it was amazing. We had a good laugh. Barry saying Gaslands rocks. I like the game, mate, but again, like I say, it's the hobby side of it. I'm not like. I think it's the size. I'm just not into like the kind of like. I'm not into like sort of 10mm, 15mm miniatures. I'm not really into the small Matchbox cars. I think potentially if I scaled it up and played with bigger cars, I might be more interested. I think. Gareth Lewis says, night all, good night, mate. And James Bray says, I was very helpful. James Bray was not very helpful. But it was good fun. We enjoyed it. John says, dude, I love building the cars and playing the game. The car modelling is pure free-form modelling. Anything that looks good. I'm not a huge fan of like of kit bashing and stuff. I think that's potentially what it is. I think I'm not a big fan of kit bashing, and I'm also not really into the small scale. And I think that's what puts me off. I like the game. I've not played the newer rules, like the second edition version. I've got the original rule book. But yeah, I just like for me, the hobby side, I spend so much more time hobbying than I'll ever spend playing. Even non-COVID times, I'll always kind of paint and build and kind of read and all that kind of stuff. So I have to be engaged in it, I think. And I personally just I can't really get engaged in kind of in the Matchbox cars side of things. We're all into different stuff, but that's just me. Barry says we grew up with Car Wars and Mad Max. Gaslands remind me of both. Yeah, I never played Car Wars. Maybe that's the difference, mate. Worry says you can play Gaslands with Lego cars or your 40k tanks if you want. It's still going to be amusing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think if I was going to do it with like bigger models, potentially I might find it a bit more fun to kind of do. But it's the hobby side. Like I say, I'll spend more time hobbying. Old rusted up and dinged up cars are the best. Garage sales, thrift stores. Yeah, unfortunately, the only place I'd pick any up will be like a supermarket at the minute. So that kind of stuff's out the window. Scott Latham says just ordered Dreadball Extreme, so I'll have some teams to paint. I'll get the main game later under a tenner is epic deal. Yeah, I think that might go pretty quick now. Phil Campbell says painting some 10mm Baron Wars minis at the moment. Definitely need the magnifying glass on. I'm far too old for 10mm models, mate. They would just be one colour. That's all I would be able to see. Spunky Taz says just prior to lockdown we were looking at upscaling Gaslands to 28mm and doing a Gorka Mocha themed game. Yeah, I think if it was a bit bigger, I think it's one of them things where I think actually talking about like what they call the Matchbox cars, it's probably the right scale for the game because it's not something I would get hugely invested in. It's probably not something I would play like lots and lots of. So if I was going to invest time in building big tanks and stuff like that to do it, I think I'd probably play something like Water Tanker or something like that instead. Play something at that kind of scale. Steve says nothing wrong with small scales. I'm just finishing off some 2mm Napoleonics tonight. You're just a man who's basically who's crazy, mate. Honestly, personally for me, and I know there's a lot of talk about small scales at the minute, it just does not excite me at all. It does not light a torch under me in the slightest. 28mm and kind of an upwards of that, I'm fine with. But when it starts getting much smaller, I feel like I lose some of the enjoyment. I have painted smaller stuff, but I feel like I just lose some of the enjoyment personally. Spiderlord says get money in the morning. I think I'll get Dreadball Extreme if it's still in stock. No brainer for that money. James says where's this mega Dreadball deal? I'm not telling you, mate, because you'll get it before I do. It's on the Mantic website, mate. If you go, let me show you actually. Let me find the screen and we might as well. Let's oh, I've closed the Mantic website. Let me reopen it for you. Well, let's sell some. Let's sell. Mantic have been kind enough to give us a mega army to give away. Let's repay the favour and sell some of their toys. So go to Dreadball. If you go to getting started, I think it is. No, it's not getting started. Accessories maybe. No, is it in Dreadball Draft? There it is. Dreadball Draft. Dreadball Extreme with free player's manual. If you click on that, mate, it is £9.99. You get the square pitch in it. You also get these two teams as well, 3 teams. So you get a whole stack of minis in there as well. Is there any pictures of the actual? So you get some of that. So there's one team. There's a second team, which are those one. That team's £25 on its own actually, and then you get this team as well. So yeah, you basically get 3 teams in it for £10. It's nice. Please don't buy them all before the stream's finished. All right, let's have a look in here. Extreme is $29 for the US. I think it's going to have to get shipped out, mate, as well, isn't it? That's the thing. Yeah, Barry's saying 2 mil. That's exactly how I feel as well, mate. Bloggy says Mantic's business plan for lines that aren't moving fast. Step 1, write new supplement. Step 2, send it to Andy to preview. Step 3, praise community starter painting challenge. Not at all, mate. Not at all. That, to be honest, the when when Rob sent me this to read through, I wasn't expecting it. He didn't tell me it was coming, and when I read through it, I thought that's good enough to kind of to give it its own live stream tonight. So that was why nobody's asked me to do anything. I'm doing that off my own back. John says, I hadn't seen the Magnet Marvel's Flurple and his buddies is only 20 quid. I was expecting £10 each. Yeah, they come as a 4-pack, mate, don't they? Luke says, I love small scale, but 2 mil is insane. James says, I'm super enjoying D&D. My monk is obviously the hero and the MVP. He definitely thinks he is, that's for sure. Looks like it won't put aside. Peter says, I have some 2 mil forces. Looks great on a small footprint. What you should do is just paint 28 mil and then go and stand in next door's garden and look at your stuff like through the window, like from next door. That's like painting 2 mil. That's what it would look like to me. John says, I model at 1/72 armor and aircraft. Gaslands allows me to use the leftover junked stuff. Yeah, I don't have a lot of like sort of leftover bits and pieces to put on them. That's the thing. Spiderlord says £7 shipping, still a great deal. Yeah, it's a fab deal made for what's in them. It's in the price is insane. There's Christian sharing the link as well. Paul said, I don't do fantasy sports games, but a sci-fi racing game I could definitely get behind. There's been rumours that Chorus Belly might be lining up a new game up and R races has been mentioned. I've not heard that, mate. John says, if you're getting extreme, it's worth getting some extra bases. I don't think the rejects have bases. I didn't realise that, mate. Andrew says, 3 teams, a lot of scatter, and a violent game to boot. You can't lose. Yeah, Paul saying there was a big racing game set. If there was a big racing game set in the Warpath universe. I'm trying to think what vehicles are in the Warpath universe, to be honest. Lee saying, great stream tonight, been basing up a few Legion bits, really inspired to paint my other Dreadball teams now, especially if there's a challenge. Yeah, that's the point. I mean, I'm not trying to kind of get people to go out and spend money. That's why I'm saying, if you want to try and create a Dreadball team out of stuff you've already got, you can pick up some hex bases. I think that I'll get the sizes and stuff and I'll paint it in. I'll put it in the post. But you can make up your own kind of Dreadball team as well. But by all means, if you've got one lying around that you've not painted yet, get it out and get it done. If you just want to pick up a new one, they're not a fortune. Do you know what I mean? It's a nice month's hobby project. Get stuck in. Steve says also painting 6 mil and 28 mil. Wow. Peter says, Andy, have you ever played a big battle using small skin? And I mean big, like 1,000 models on 6x4. It's a spectacle. I always see them when I go to places like kind of Salute and stuff, and they do look fantastic. But I'll be honest, I don't really have any interest in playing games of that size. My cousin, when I was a kid, used to play kind of like a lot of like really big sort of war battle stuff, and it's just a lot of moving things around. It doesn't it doesn't interest me personally. It's not my kind of thing. I'm much more into kind of skirmish games, smaller scale stuff. Even Kings of War, I love that Kings of War replicates that feel on a tabletop, but you're just moving a few bases around, so it gives me a skirmish game type feel. It's just never really interested me. Story time with Mr. Riddle says Jet Bike Racing was a game at Mantic Open Night at Adepticon. Was it really? I don't know that. Luke said I might have just put an order in at Mantic. Nice one. Right. Bloggy saying good night everyone, time to eat dinner. Nice one. Well, one thing, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to press that one. I'm going to press this one. Because I'm going to very briefly as well talk about today. We saw the price that has been, people are saying it's been leaked, but it's been announced. I know where to find the information. So basically the price for the new Nexus, what's it called? The Kill Team Pariah Nexus box, which is going to be £95 in the UK, and I think it's €125 over in Europe. I haven't seen any US prices or Australian prices yet, but the price is probably exactly what I thought it would be, but I'm still a bit disappointed with the contents of the stuff that's in it. But the surprising thing that's also been announced is there's been some kill zones, which I think, if I remember right off the top of my head, were like £60 each. But these are just reprints of the kill zones that were out originally. So if you got into Kill Team when it originally launched, some of those kill zones, which were basically a matte, a number of bits of terrain, and then there was some cards in there which gave some rules for playing on that particular pieces of terrain and stuff. They're just basically being reprinted and relaunched again now. But there's also what looks to be a Killzone, I'm assuming, book coming out, which is priced £25. And nobody really knows exactly what that is. My assumption is it must be more of those kind of rules to play the Killzone areas on. Maybe it's a bit of a campaign type thing. Maybe it's just a reprint of all the... Maybe the new ones don't come with the cards, and it's just a reprint of all of the cards from those things put into the book. But £95 feels like a lot for Pariah Nexus. There's not a lot of models in it. It was like six Marines in there and 6 Necrons, a few bits of scatter terrain. Feels quite pricey for what it is. But yeah, I was a little bit... it's not something I was planning to buy anyway, personally. But yeah, I can see people being a little bit disappointed with that price, if I'm perfectly honest. What do you think? What do you think about it? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's about the right amount? Seems like a lot to me. Lucy, I have so much stuff arriving from Mantic now. Jim saying, yeah, Mantic just got my cash. Peter says, fair enough, to each their own. Still happy you can appreciate the site. It looks fantastic, mate. It definitely looks fantastic. There's a lot of time and skill and effort, and it looks beautiful to see it all laid out. But to me, they feel like museum pieces. They feel like that kind of thing to stand back and go, wow, that looks beautiful. It certainly doesn't feel like a game that would play like in a couple of hours. It doesn't feel like a game that I'd feel like I'd be just moving stuff constantly. And when I've watched the guys playing those kind of games, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like they're just moving stuff constantly. But yeah, I've never played it. But then it's never interested me to want to go any further, to be fair. Scotty, anyone seen Geek Gaming Scenics video on 3D printing the 10mm fantasy stuff? Yeah, he was a bit cheeky with that one. Talking about Warhammer, a big total Warhammer thing in his thumbnail. Never mentioned Warhammer once. But yeah, I mean, it's not a new thing. People have been doing it for ages. Steve Evans has been telling me about doing kind of Kings of War in small scale for ages. It's not a new thing. I think just for some reason, whatever, people have never really kind of cottoned onto it. For me, it comes down to aesthetics again, and it's not really my kind of thing. But hey, to those who want to do it, absolutely all power to them. Ed saying it's the Munitorum, the Sector Frontaris, and the current starter terrain. Yeah, but the current starter terrain was in a kill zone as well when Kill Team first came out. It says it's not scatter terrain, it's new UCC terrain. No, it's not scatter terrain, mate. The scatter terrain I'm talking about is the stuff that's in the Pariah Nexus stuff. What I mean is it's just like doors and like little bits of stuff. It's not like proper big terrain. But the kill zone sets are all... They're all kill zone sets that have been out before. They're just reprints of old sets. Looks in here, don't care about Kill Team. I thought I would, but it seems like it's not for me. I loved it originally. I really did, but it's just overly complicated for what it is. And I think personally, I think Warcry kind of soured it a bit for me because it was just so much. It was so much easier to get into. Ed saying, yeah, I'd have preferred £80, but £95 is okay. I think it comes down to that thing, doesn't it, where we're... It comes into that thing where we basically, you end up start factoring in, well, I'll get 25% off discount and stuff like that. Spylord says, given the exclusivity of the products is exactly what I expected. No, I agree with that, mate. Yeah, I do agree with that bit. Marco says, wow, that's a great deal. However, I shall resist since I didn't pay anything for the Dead Zone one, except the terrain from last year. He's talking about Dreadball, not Guilty. Phil says, Warcry Catacombs was a bit disappointing price-wise compared to the original box set. There were different things, though, to be fair, mate. And yeah, Catacombs was expensive for what it was. If you're placing orders, don't forget there's a fundraiser for Jesse Cornwell. Yes, good point, actually, as well. For those that don't know, Jesse, who was a huge character within the Kings of War community, really highly thought of by everybody that knew him, sadly passed away recently after a relatively sort of long battle with cancer. And Mantic are doing like a special sculpt, basically, where some of the proceeds go towards a charity that's been agreed with his family. So please do check that out as well while you're shopping at Mantic. Spylord says Warcry kill team for me, so refreshing. Dead Zone better than the others. Yeah, I would say Dead Zone's better than Kill Team, to be fair. Small says I have the big first starter box unopened for Killzone. The Kill Team one, mate, sell it. It's worth a fortune. The Brian Nexus stuff, it's like the Catacomb stuff for Warcry. That sort of setup just makes for a cleaner, better game. It does make for a clean game, but it's not very visually exciting. That's the problem. And it also, when you're spending that kind of money, you kind of want something a bit more visually impressive. You almost want to see where your money went. That's my point, really. Ultra Close Confines is really solid. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with it from a gameplay perspective. It just doesn't look as nice, that's all. Storytime with Mr. Riddle says it's an Ogre Warlock. Yes, that's the one as well. Let me see if I can find it on the website. Of course, I've just closed down the store again. I wonder where it'll be. Is it under the new products, maybe? New releases? I don't know if it is, actually. Let me just try to type it in and see if I can find it. There it is. Let me go. So this is the model here. Let me click it on a big one. So this is the this is like the charity type model, just as a bit of a commemoration of Jesse. 25% from the sales of each model go to the charity chosen alongside Jesse's family. So £12.49. I think it's a really nice model as well, to be fair, on top of it being for a really, really good cause, but it is a really nice model too. So yeah, please do check it out, folks. The gentleman on the left there is Mr. Jesse Cornwall, but along with Kyle as well, who we were just talking about. You may have seen them together. They used to be on the Mastercrafted YouTube channel. So if you're not aware of it, please do go and check out the channel, and you'll see just what an awesome guy Jesse was. Jesse was one of my Patreons as well for a while. So yeah, definitely I can speak highly of the gentleman as well. Let me go back to my main screen here. Copy and paste. Right, give me 2 seconds and I will copy and paste it. Let me pop it in the chat there. There you go. Ed's saying each to their own. I care far more about gameplay than impressive looking tables. As I said before, mate, I spend way more time hobbying and kind of and painting and building and stuff than I ever do playing. Which is why for me, making a game look nice is as important, if not more important, than kind of playing the most finely tuned rules. I just want to have fun, and I want to have fun on a table that looks good. So yeah, that's my sort of thing. But it doesn't mean I'm right, kind of thing. That's just my preference. Spylord says, put it in perspective, £95 got you a full squad of Mechanicus, a full squad of Gene Stealer Company of Fights, and a massive load of buildings in the original starter. It's been priced around the models in it. Oh, 100%, mate, yeah. And we know for a fact that it's going to be full of scalpers now, because they're just going to buy it and sell on those models, because it's the only place you can buy them at the moment. Yeah. Mark says, man, my internet is awful today. Mark's saying, hey guys, that £95 will be £80 once discount is applied. It'll sell like hotcakes. Mainly 40k players will snap this up. I said that in my video before, but why I was disappointed, because it doesn't feel like it's being created for Kill Team players. It feels like it's being created just to sell the models, and it's like Kill Team players will have to like this, because it's the best way to kind of like ship them out. Peter says, I'm only here for the pew pew noises. Yeah, me too. And the pew pew noises sound better when the board looks good. Right, folks. Oh, just bit the inside of my cheek there. That's really sore now. So, folks, I kind of rattled through the Dreadball stuff tonight. But if anybody's got any specific questions about the Dreadball stuff, anything you want to ask, I will, over the next couple of days, I'll put together some kind of plan for the Dreadball challenge, and I'll make sure we give people enough time to be able to pick stuff up as well, or sort out the minis and get ready. It shouldn't take too long to paint them anyway, because we're only talking kind of like, I mean, we're essentially only really talking about 10 sort of 12 models, something like that. So it shouldn't take too long to paint. And again, as I always do in my painting challenges, it's not about how good you paint them. It's just about getting them finished to whatever standard you want to paint in. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what standard you paint to. Paint them to the standard that you're happy with. The challenge is just about getting them completed. Lord Maiden saying, I just made an order for Dreadball Extreme. The blue bases would be awesome for the ghosts. Oh, they do come with coloured bases, don't they? I like to paint the bases, to be fair, because I like to paint. I forgot to mention before. So basically, there's a face in Dreadball. So there's a front arc and a rear arc. Because obviously, if somebody sneaks up and slams you from behind, they're going to get a bonus. And I tend to paint the rear arc of the hex base either in red, yellow, or green to denote the guards, the jacks, or the strikers. And that way, I can see at a glance which ones they are, because the sculpt of the model is almost irrelevant, really. I want to be able to glance at the table and be able to see really quickly which one's which. Spylord says, you underestimate how slowly I paint. Even if you paint one model every 2 days, you could do a team of these in a month, that's for sure. John says, a bit of a drag, the Pariah Nexus box isn't a starter set. I was hoping that it would include the core rulebook. Yeah, it's not a starter set, it's definitely just an expansion. But not putting the rule book in it has allowed them to, I would say, keep the price down, but it's allowed them to not push the price up further, I suppose. But it also makes me think that potentially, I was going to say potentially we might see a new kill team, like a rules edition coming soon. But that box, let's be fair, that box is not going to be around long enough to worry about having any left lying on shelves. Small says, I picked up 2 teams for Dreadball a week or 2 ago. Trontech 29ers and a Dreadball team, Midgard Delvers. The Midgard Delvers are really nice. I like those as well. He says one of those 2 will be painted. Robzilla says only 8 models for a team. There you go, 8. I was thinking six models on the pitch plus subs, depending upon how many. But I guess it's more to do with once you've picked your team. It's kind of like, that's it. You've picked your roster, if you like. Spylaw says, I find streams like it's perfect for getting some painting in. It's for some people, it's just a bit of background chat, especially at the minute where like we're all kind of stuck on our own. Like I loved our D&D thing the other night, just because it was nice to actually speak to people. I mean, I do these live streams, but I talk to a camera. I don't hear people talking back to me. It was nice just to speak to people. It's quite nice to have like a stream or something on, or people just chatting. Purely just as background noise, really, sometimes. Lord Mins, I found what my issue was with the clear bases. I like the old style ones where they're bigger and straight edges. The new ones don't do it for me. I bought some new bases for some of mine, actually. I bought them originally for Aristea, but I used them on my Dreadball minis. Steve saying contrast paints work great for Dreadball teams. Just saying, they do, mate. Dry brushing as well. Do not underestimate the power of dry brushing. Don't forget as well, a lot of these teams are basically kind of single piece as well, so you haven't even got to build them. So yes, no excuse for getting 8 minis painted in a month and a half I might even be giving you yet. John says, on painting speed, I painted at a rate that could be described as glacial slow but steady and inexorable. Spunky Taz says, okay, Dreadball Extreme plus other stuff ordered, bugger. Yeah, I definitely need to go shopping in the next 10 minutes before everything sells out. Spylord says, honestly, this feels like a bone toss to kill team players who've been crying out for content. That's exactly what I think, mate. It doesn't even feel like it was aimed at them. Spunky Taz says, what do you mean you can't hear us insult you? Not unless you've moved next door, mate. I won't be able to hear you. Frontex says, streams are indeed perfect for painting. Just finished my Basileans and Martyrs starter ships. Nice, mate. I want to see those. Paul says, if you end up with a load of PVC miniatures with details on the soft side, contrast paint and brown washed will do you proud. 100%, mate. Not everything has to be blooming golden demon winning. Not everything has to be kind of sort of painted to the best of your ability. Sometimes getting it done is its own reward. Christian saying you're not supposed to tell him. John says, it took me 10 years to paint everything in the 98 release of Epic. A long time, but it's done. But I bet you get such a nice feeling from having it all finished, that's for sure. Peter says, it's so unfair for those of us easily tempted and wanting to obtain the new goodies before the scalpers get hold of them. Yeah, unfortunately, you're just going to have to be there waiting at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning and get your order in as quick as you can. And it's another reason why GW push people to come and shop on their website as well, because generally they're going to hold more stock of it. Of course they are. Spider-Lord says, I'll post me Tomb Blades in the Legacy Facebook group in a bit. Thank you very much, mate. And Warwick says, still wonder if Kill Team will get a new edition, a new box at the end of the year. Potentially, mate. I mean, it might do, but I honestly think, I don't really think GW's heart in Kill Team anymore. I think they're more interested in pushing you into playing sort of combat patrol size games in 40k. I think Kill Team's on a bit of a rundown, and I do think that this was almost throwing them a bone to kind of keep people interested. But yeah, I'm going to have, actually I've got a few bits to do tomorrow, and then I'm probably going to have a few days off this week, actually, because we've got building work happening outside, so they're drilling big holes in the ground to put fence posts in, and they're hammering and sawing, and the radios are blaring. It's not really the right kind of environment to be recording videos at the minute. So I'll obviously be doing Wednesday's paint and stream, so please come for that. I'll probably try and edit together tonight's Dreadball stuff, and put them up as a Tuesday Eclipse video. So maybe one is like an intro to Dreadball, and maybe another one is a bit of a review of the Magnetar Circuit book. So I'll probably put them up. So if anybody's missed the start of the stream and they want to kind of just get the highlights bits, I'll probably edit them up tomorrow. And then it depends on how the noise is and stuff outside. Otherwise, I might just have a couple of days rest, I think, this week, and put my feet up. My wife's got a couple of days off work. My little boy's obviously at home because it's half term, and two, he's off nursery anyway. So we might just do a bit of family stuff around the house and a few odd jobs and stuff. But we'll see how it goes. Paul says, I did my entire Dead Zone challenge using contrast painting Agrax Earth. Then I did a bit of extra work on the basis. The result was awesome. I enjoyed doing my Dead Zone challenge stuff, actually, doing my Veerman. I've just never had a chance to play them yet, unfortunately, because nobody to play. Peter says, I'm at 105 models painted this year. God, I haven't actually counted up how many I've painted this year. I've painted more than I would normally do. I've done all right this year, but like more for me, I've done all right. But I've got no idea how many I've painted. Storytime, Mr. Riddle says, if I have time to paint, which hasn't happened for several months, it's usually my old Hero Quest game, but started in junior high with aircraft and animals, and will finish them with aircraft and animals. Nice. James Brace, I just ordered the Dreadball Extreme box. Andy, what's Dreadball? Watch out on the Tuesday Eclipse video, mate. Mark was off the bed, said he's finished Spider-Man tonight. Good night. John says, I'm sure you deserve a bit of a rest. Yeah, it's purely just by the fact that, I mean, I was just going to say, Barry saying, how about BlackJack Extra's video of the light bulb blows up? It definitely looks a bit burnt. I'm going to have to order a new, I can't even paint now because my hobby light's gone. I don't know if you'll be able to see that there, but it looks, let's see if I can put it there. It looks, zoom on that, don't zoom on me. It looks proper brown around the edge there. It really popped. So yeah, I'll have to get myself a new daylight bulb. Yeah, I'm saying I deserve a rest. It's not that I'm not motivated to do stuff. It's more the fact that actually it's just we're all rattling about in the house at the minute with my little one being off nursery, so it's quite hard like during the day where I'd normally have like a quiet house, and then obviously with the bits of building work going outside for a few days, I'm probably better off just not even trying to force it really, and just have a couple of days off really. I probably would have done some painting if my bulb hadn't blown. Peter saying, night to those leaving early. You tell them, Peter. Brennan says, just ordered Extreme 2. I still have most of my Dreadball Kickstarter unpainted. That's what happens, isn't it? Lord Maiden says, I've done 57 plus models, base painted, washed and base since January the 1st. That's good going, mate. Christian's done 5 miniatures this year. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check. I've done my Malifaux stuff this year. I've done some Mythos stuff this year. I've done the ships for Dystopian Wars. I've done some more of my Armada ships as well. I'll have to go back and check. I can probably tell by watching my live streams back. John says, since 2016, my yearly hobby goal has been to build and paint at least 100 minis. I've done it twice. I never really set myself a target, mate. Barry says, those CFL bulbs are nasty. Look for LED. I tell you what, mate, I must have had this bulb for about 10 years. It's served me well for 10 years, to be fair, and it's really bright. So yeah, alas, no more. Spiderlord says, Amazon after Mantic, you have a new bulb tomorrow's. Yes. Scott says, Andy, you better get your order into Mantic. You've created a storm on their website. Spiderlord says, yeah, LED bulb with daylight replacing lumens. Yeah, I'll have to have a look, mate, and see. Like I say, I think I've had this one for about 10 years. Peter says, I've painted 1 mini this year, so hopefully 6 by December. You can do it, mate. Peter says, doesn't look that bright. It's not now, mate, that's for sure. It stunk. Lord Maiden says, I wouldn't be surprised if half was getting an email tomorrow saying DREADBALL oversold. I'm going to have a look now on the website. I bet it's out of stock now. Let me have a look. Because I'm sure it has live stock levels. Let's have a look. Still available. We might be all right, folks. John says, this year he's completed 19 minis, cut the plastic kits, well on his way. Nice one, mate. Stay motivated. That's the way. Barry says, not that CFL don't last. They're just toxic. LED is better for painting. Yeah, I mean, it's just daylight, isn't it? I don't know much about this, so I'll have to just I'll have to see what I can get my hands on. It's generally what does Amazon sell, because I can't shop anywhere else at the minute. Bloody hell, Steve saying done 900 miniatures each year for the last 2 years. Bloody hell, mate, that's some going. And Johnson, yeah, you're a machine. Right, folks, I think that, hello Derek Hodge, by the way. I think at that point I'll call it a night. We've had some good numbers in tonight. Thank you very much, everyone that's come in. If you're not already a member of the BlackJack Legacy Facebook group, please do head across and join the group. I'll be announcing about the painting challenge in there as well. If you're not a member of my Patreon and you want to kind of join the Patreon, come across to the chat as well in there, which basically the chat is a bit like this kind of random ramble stuff, but all day, every day, with people from all over the world, some awesome folks who love the hobby and love to have a chat. $2 a month gets you access to the Discord, and then there's tiers above that which gets you things like free t-shirts and free mugs and gets your name at the end of every one of my videos, that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, please do come and check out the Patreon, much appreciated. For those that don't know, this is my full-time job. This is what I do for a job now, and to enable me to kind of cover stuff that maybe might not be the big games at any given time. It's all community funded by things like the donations tonight and people joining Patreon and things and buying the t-shirts and stuff. So thank you to everybody that supports me doing that kind of stuff. So folks, thank you very, very much. And I'll congratulations as well to Scott Webster, the winner tonight. I'll be back in touch with him. But thank you to everybody, and I will see you all on Wednesday in the Hobby Hangout. Take care, folks. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month, and there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.